reflect that we've got the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, which governs how unethical conduct is dealt with in Parliament. And maybe the other speakers can address themselves to that, because if there are allegations of misconduct on the part of Parliament, it is a speaker which has the relevant committees who should then call for evidence so that we can go through the processes of determining whether members are engaging in unethical conduct. So all those are instruments that are already available to us in law that we must exhaust before Sifuna moves the motion of impeachment against the speaker. Who goes next?
We need to really agree how to proceed with Governor Sang, because the last time he was here, we sent him away because he was not prepared. The documents
come on their knees to the Senate. But when it comes to account, I spoke to an old man from my county yesterday. When those decisions or maybe those conversations came up in yesterday's meeting, that old man is a former member of Parliament, and he said, we know the law. Those are just, PR exercise. Nyinyi kama senators mfanye kazi yenu. So as he has said, let us do our job. The rest, they will fight for it outside there. And I thank you. For those who don't appear or refuse to appear, we must take serious action against them. Otherwise, Senate should close its doors and go to bed. I thank you.
Thank you. Samburu, Deputy Whip of Majority.
Chair, thank you. Chair, last time when we were having the governor here, there were several issues that we needed to go through as a committee that were pointed out by the Auditor General. And the governor agreed with the committee for more time to furnish the committee with the documents. So I don't know the reasons why now that he has that opportunity to appear before this committee, that he is writing a letter in the evening at night informing the committee that he is not able to appear before this committee. So Chair, I think the right thing we do as a committee is let's not give him a chance of invitation. Let's summon the governor to appear before the committee to answer or to shed light on those issues that have been pointed out by the Auditor General. Thank you.
Chair, can I add?
Okay, Senator,
since this is my county, I would request also that apart from summoning him, the committee should also fine him, as my colleagues have said. They should fine him, because the last time they were non-provision of documentation. And I think we wanted to give governors a second bite of the cherry in consideration of these audit reports. We always do it in good faith. So Chair, I agree. And all the governors must be aware that they need and should appear. Just to add on what the Deputy Minority Whip has said, Chair, is while Parliament is under attack, the leaders of institution must and should be at the forefront to correct what is being peddled in public. Because the people making those statements are not members of Parliament. There are people who are not elected and they don't sit in Parliament. So I think the leadership, the speakers of both houses, because Chair, after yesterday meeting, some of us are caucusing, both speakers of the House must be put on notice that they are working on a very dangerous path, and members are thinking otherwise, that if this accountability is taken a notch higher, they might become the casualties of what is happening, and they will go before we go. Thank you, Chair.
I think that's the saying that fish rolls from the head. So if the fish is rotten, it starts from the top. I think if I was to summarize what my colleagues have submitted, there's been quite a lot of debate over the role of Parliament, and particularly the oversight role of Parliament. Some commentators have spoken about the Constitution as it ought to be. We are concerned about the Constitution as it is. My party leader speaks about the Constitution and the law as it ought to be, and he gives a very rich background on the constitution-making exercise and the compromises that were made at Bomas, and we respect that because he's got a lot of insight. But this is a constitution that we have, which contains Article 96, which empowers the Senate to conduct oversight over national revenue allocated to counties, and that has been qualified to include the on-source revenue and conditional and unconditional grants. So we are here pursuant to the constitution that we have, not the constitution that we should have had at Bomas. We are here pursuant to Article 229(8) of the Constitution that requires the Auditor General to bring audit reports to Parliament and gives us a timeline for their consideration and for making recommendations. We are here pursuant to the Public Audit Act that has very clear procedures on how Parliament should deal with audit reports. We are here pursuant to the decision of the Supreme Court on the oversight role of the Senate. In fact, in the 11th Parliament, governors refused to appear before this committee. It took almost 5 years for this litigation to be concluded, and it was established that governors as chief executive officers, they are defined as such in the Constitution, have a responsibility to appear before Parliament and county assemblies to defend or to provide accountability for their expenditure. We are in no way taking away the power and the duty of the county assembly. The county assembly remains the primary overseer. And there is no day when the Senate tried to veer into that terrain. When it comes to budgets, that's the exclusive role of county assemblies. When it comes to appointments, that's the exclusive role of county assemblies. When it comes to integrated development plans, exclusive role of county assemblies. When it comes to expenditure, quarterly expenditure review, exclusive role of county assemblies. And so those who are saying governors and counties should appear before the county assembly are not wrong. They are only wrong to the extent that that should be the final point of oversight. There is secondary oversight that Parliament exercises, and we are doing that pursuant to the constitution we have, not the constitution that we wished we had. Article 125 gives us the power to compel the appearance of any person before this committee, any person, including the president, who is making allegations of unethical conduct on the part of Parliament. I want to challenge the speakers of the two houses, because they're the ones who chair the Powers and Privileges committees, pursuant to the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. For the president to come and explain who are those people who are demanding bribes, who are those people who are given bribes, because you cannot try Parliament in a kangaroo court when statute already has clear provisions for dealing with unethical conduct on the part of members of National Assembly or members of the Senate. I think we should move away from this lynching, from this kangaroo court mentality, and challenge our speakers that they must convene the necessary committees and listen to evidence from the president and listen to evidence from anybody else who alleges unethical conduct on the part of members of National Assembly. Those are provisions and instruments available in the Constitution and available in the statute. And the question is, for those who claim that they bring bribes to Parliament, why would you bribe Parliament if you are not guilty, in the event that that was to happen? But even for us to determine the veracity of those allegations, Speaker Wetangula and Speaker Kingi, you are the defenders, you are the heads of this institution. You must now exercise Article 125 and summon the president. That article does not exclude the president. It says any person, Parliament has the power to summon them. Let the president come before a committee of Parliament, let him repeat the things he has been saying in public rallies, the things he has been saying in other places. Let him bring that evidence so that it is processed in accordance with the law. I think finally, we must be careful with our utterances. There are powerful political players in this country who, when they say things, people take it almost as common law. We must always refer back to the Constitution. We must respect institutions. Parliament is also an institution that deserves respect. The judiciary is also an institution that deserves respect, and it has made certain proclamations and directions on this issue of oversight. I think what is going to emerge also is that any governor who chooses to go with peer influence will have to carry his own cross, because there are clear provisions in the Constitution and law on contempt of Parliament. And honorable members, we must tighten the penalties and sanctions on contempt of parliament. We have a fine of 500,000 shillings, which governors find very easy to pay. In fact, we have had governors who have paid it more than twice or thrice in one session. So we must tighten those consequences.
Point of information, Chair, I don't mean to interrupt your flow of thought, but in fact, we in the Senate already passed an amendment to the Powers and Privileges Act to enhance those fines, Honorable Chair. The Senate already enhanced those penalties. Honorable Chair Algei just allowed me to inform the Chair that we passed those enhanced amendments. I remember it was sponsored by Senator Ososi. I think they are lying somewhere in the National Assembly. And our colleagues in the National Assembly must now do their bit to make sure that that law becomes law. I am not very sure it will be assented to, given the sort of attitude that is coming from the Office of the President. But we feel that as a Senate we have done our part. The National Assembly needs to push that fine. We pushed it to 2 million, you remember. And we even had gone to the extent of suggesting that we need our own police force in the parliament and a police cell. Because you remember the frustration we had, and in fact it was this committee, with the governor of Nairobi, where if you say you want him arrested and brought before this committee, you depend on the Inspector General of Police, who might not be very willing to execute that order. The Senator Dulo has a problem with the police command in his county. They can't do anything. So you remember we had suggested that we should have powers of arresting people. When they threaten to arrest us, we will also threaten to arrest them. Wakitushika tunawashika. That's what we say.
Senator Sifuna, in the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, it allocates powers to our parliamentary orderlies and sergeants at arms equivalent to the power of the police. I think we are the ones who are weak in terms of we can direct our sergeant at arms to conduct the functions of a police officer within these proceedings. If the president was to appear before a committee, having been summoned by the speakers, and he became disorderly, the speakers have got the power to direct the parliamentary orderlies to arrest him and throw him out. So we are the ones who have been weak. We have the laws.
Chair, one thing you need to do is, again, choice of words. We are not the ones who are weak. It is our speakers who are not doing what they are supposed to do, Chair. Remember,
by the police. So there is no security in Parliament, so we are being invaded by everybody. Strangers, the executive,
I think
anybody.
Let's come back to the context. Yeah.
That is why I'm saying the speakers we have are very weak. That's what we are trying to say. Because if this is the institution of Parliament, it is the work of the speakers and the leadership to protect an institution. That's what we are just saying, and that is why you are seeing contempt against Parliament, is because we have weak speakers.
Listen, honorable members,
they must take a walk.
Let us be careful with the choice of words, because it's not about protecting Parliament,
yes,
but it is ensuring that Parliament is engaged in ethical conduct.
Yes.
And the only way to establish that is for the speakers to convene the necessary committees and, using Article 125, summon the president to come and give evidence of 150 million from Isiolo, summon the president to give evidence of 10 million on anti-money laundering bill, and to give further evidence that he has. That is how the constitution that we have is drafted. And that is a challenge we are putting out to the speakers, not to